I'm going to talk about photography, as you know already. I'm going to talk about the certain aspects of photography. Photography has always been considered as evidence of reality, as evidence of memory, as evidence of materials and stories and narrations and history. Until the word called photoshopped came. So, but still we believe that, okay, there is a reality in photography. So photography can capture the reality. So in this aspects, let's see what was there in the past. And interesting enough that it is for the reproduction of photography, the method of reproduction of photography is associated with the term called photography as we know nowadays. The daguerreotype was single one. It was done on a metal plate coated with silver, then it's been sensitized with iodine vapors and bromine vapors. It's been exposed in the camera, developing with the fume of mercury. And then, as you can understand that these are the both processes, these are the methods which are very complicated. So necessarily you need to make a smaller image. It's a smaller image. And then they used to keep it like this way, with probably a written note, a personal note, handwritten note. And as the process I explained, it's a single process, it's a single image. You cannot print it because there was no conception of negative. Hence, daguerreotype or a daguerreotype image, a photographic image, it cannot be reproduced. So a personal memory could be associated with that. It has an aura. Similarly, if you look at the history of photography, then you can see along with daguerreotype there were other methods like weight plate collodion, ambrotype. Daguerreotype at certain point became very expensive. So another method came up, it's called ambrotype, which is a similar method done on glass plate, and it's also a single plate, you can see it. But what exactly happened with this daguerreotype and ambrotype, it necessarily became small, and it necessarily cannot be reprinted, reproduced. So it attached with a personal kind of a relationship. Like once you read a book, you develop a kind of a personal relationship with this object, with this book. So the similar kind of a thing happened with daguerreotype and weight plate collodion. So after that, there was another process called Calotype, which been again invented, and this is the first process which actually could produce paper negative. So the idea called negative, and hence through the idea of negative, the reproducibility of photograph emerged. From Calotype paper negative, you can produce print like this, which are albumin prints. Primarily it was albumin prints which you can produce. So the idea of reproductions, the seam reproductions, came into existence. And from there we started developing the whole technological development took place. The marketability of photograph came in, the circulation of photographic images came in, and there was other processes like weight plate collodion, glass plate negative. So these are the methods, these are the developments, these were the developments happening in certain era, and it's in 19th century era, till 1888. So 1888 is a time when Kodak came up, multinationals came in. Before 1888, there were companies, there were factories who were producing certain things. They were producing papers, they were producing chemicals, they were producing other materials. But largely, the photographers or the artists who were producing the images, largely, they were producing their own things. They were using their hands. They were not using the machines. But slowly, along with the technological development, the whole business of photography came in. And at certain point of time, like 1888, this was a mark in time when Kodak introduced, and they coined this word that you press the button, we do the rest. So you press the button, we do the rest. That means that you don't need to do anything else. So you only click the image. And what we do really nowadays, we click the button. this was the time when the multinationals came in and they standardized the whole idea of photography. They standardized the whole language of photography. Means that you take a camera, you click certain images. Now the lab assistant sitting in Kodak factory, he will decide that your images, your photographs, how they will look like. So necessarily, there was a kind of a conceptions developed that what is good image and what is bad image. And interestingly, this idea developed what is good image and which is bad image without a context. So a good image could be good in US. That particular image could be worse in Calcutta. And definitely time, culture, and situations were there. So we came into the multinationals' roles which they played in photographic businesses, and slowly we can see that whatever development been happened after that till today, everything is how to make photography more user-friendly. But not enough development happened in terms of the language of photography. Only it became standardized, it became standardized, it became standardized. So everything can be level at the same level. Now, so this one, probably all of us, we are familiar with this image where this print being used. That was there in our culture before photography came in. It is a form of reproductions. It is a form of reproductions which carries memory with it. So photography was not only the element, the image which carries the memory, but this one, this print, the footprints, also carries a memory. And it is also a reproduction. Imagine a photograph which is very precious to you. Come on, yeah. Imagine a photograph which is very precious to you. And then the photograph, you work with it. You produce that work with your hand. And imagine that there is life into this photograph, life into this print. You embed that life to this print. Now how that is possible? Life means that a photograph which can respond to situations, a photographic image which can respond, physically change itself in certain context, physically change itself in certain situations, and which is precious, which is sensitive to elements. Now this is a photograph which is sensitive to light. So I keep it in a form, in an envelope, inside an envelope. And then you know that once you open it up, it's still sensitive to light. So it will get darkened. And this is how it will happen. Observe the image deterioration. And finally, it will be like this. So this is an introduction to the contemporary practice of photography, where you use material, you use the idea of memory, you use the idea of subtlety in terms of photographic elements. This is a salt print which is still sensitive to light, and there was a process in 19th century before the invention of hypo or fixer that people used to stabilize it. And this term called stabilizations were there. And once you stabilize, the image is still sensitive to light. And imagine you print an image which is very precious to you, and you make it still sensitive to light, so that once you open it up from the envelope, you need to open it up in light, and then it will deteriorate. So you need to keep it, you need to preserve that photograph in a more precious way. And to introduce these materials which are involved with these photographic elements are also there. So you produce your own chemicals, you produce your own materials which are sensitive to light. Even you produce paper. So imagine that you are picking up fibers from your own garden, and then you are producing paper, and then you are making a paper, and then you are making an image of your mother. You are using the ornaments of your mother, the silver ornaments. You make silver nitrate out of it, and then you print a photograph of your mother on that paper. So this is an opposite direction of the multinationals' approach to more standardizations. And this is an approach where you go back and you start to look at your handwork, you start to look at the craftsmanship of photography, but not the general technological development as a standardized development. This is a kind of a paper pulp which you can produce, which I work with, and eventually you print an image of your mother, of your close one. So, in a larger terms, that now, at the moment, photography is been standardized, a general photography. But there is definitely a hope to readdress the language, to readdress the other materiality of it, and to readdress the craftsmanship of the photograph. Thank you.